Is that fair? I don't understand why they're so hell-bent on wasting the end of the Steph era.
It's nonsense. I mean,
nonsense.
I don't know if it's fair or unfair, but I think that it is a cherry pick. And I don't think that the Warriors are hell-bent on wasting the end of the Steph Curry era. I think that's kind of a bit of a cheap shot, and I think it's short-sighted. So you go back to last year at the deadline, not this past season, but the season before, and you acquire Jimmy Butler. You traded a perfectly good Andrew Wiggins, healthy. This is Andrew Wiggins. You rolled the dice. That, to me, is not wasting the end of the Steph Curry era. Jimmy gets hurt. Moses gets hurt. Okay, if you wanted to waste the end of the Steph Curry era, well, then you would have traded absolutely everything, and you trade away Yaxel, and you trade whatever you can, and you get picks down the road, and you basically surround Steph Curry with Leons and Cryer and Richard and Spencer, and that, to me, would be wasting the end of it, being hell-bent on wasting the end of the Steph Curry era.
I agree with you. I'm trying this whole time to figure out a way to split the difference. I think it's easy. I hear this from Bill Simmons. I hear it from Kevin O'Connor a lot. There's people in the national media that sort of get caught up, and I get it. They get caught up in the romance of Steph Curry. You watch Steph Curry play, and he played barely more than half the games last year, but you watch him play, and you're like, damn, dude, he's still got it. So that means you got to go all in. You got to go all in for Steph. And I'm like, no, you really don't, and you shouldn't. There is no all in. I think that even gets overused. If you are a sports franchise, at all times, your job is to be as good as you possibly can be now, but not irresponsible. And I've long thought that when the majority of your good players are over 35 years old, you'd be stupid to give up all of your draft picks. And people go, draft picks, whatever. The same people are now excited about Yaxel Lendeborg. Hasn't played an NBA game yet, but he's got people's interest, and the Warriors have no interest in dealing him, as told to us by Ramona Shelburne. But there's two sides to that story. I'm sort of like, don't go all in, but can you go some in? And their response, as you just pointed out, would be, we did. We got Jimmy Butler. All right, and now I'm thinking, I mean, can we go a little bit more in? You don't have to go all in. And I realize it's difficult, but I think you have to do something. So, but I'm with you on the larger point. This whole idea of Steph is romantic. He's awesome. Let's continue this title chase. And if that means 4 picks and 2 pick swaps, then fine. That does not feel like the right thing to do. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And let's go back to this past February when we were at Media Row here for the Super Bowl, and we did 3.5 shows, if not more, on their pursuit of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it was 4 picks and 2 pick swaps, and it would have been, I guess Jimmy Butler's contract, and Draymond was thrown out there, and there were rumors that they wanted to get Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant didn't want to come. It's not like they're just sitting on their hands saying, well, you know what? We're hell-bent on wasting these last few years, Steph. I'm sorry. And being hell-bent, by the way, means that you are absolutely 100% determined to do something. So I don't think that they're hell-bent on, maximizing the window or wasting the rest of his window. I think that what you just said is their approach, which is prudence. You're going to try to make moves that work for you now, and they don't cost you in the future. And if you can't make those moves, and the whole idea about Anthony Davis, if you get AD, then you'll get LeBron, and it might cost you 3 first-rounders and Jimmy Butler and who knows what else, but I'm all in on that. Well, and LeBron plays for 1 year, and he leaves again, and Anthony Davis, you have to sign to a max, and now he's here, and he gets hurt. Whatever your move was going to be, I do think that they're trying, but they're not just throwing caution to the wind, nor should they.
Yeah. Right now, I take solace in the fact that the Draymond Green deal has not been announced or signed. And that's not because I'm rooting for something bad to happen between Draymond and the Warriors. I just have to think that the only reason that they wouldn't have a deal done yet is because they're still working on some things. They're still working on some things. You know what I mean?
They have to be.
Maybe Trey Murphy is about to be a Warrior. I don't know. And then everything would change. That's the one thing I also want to say today about the Warriors offseason. Right now, it's a tough sell. It's really, really difficult as a fan to get excited when they literally bring you nothing new. It's very difficult. But it's not over. And one move, I think, would change a lot of people's moods. 888-957-9570. We'll get to your calls in a second. Take a listen to Bill Simmons' podcast via The Ringer.
Who is the biggest loser of the LeBron saga?
It's close. But I'm going to say the Golden State Warriors.
That's who I had number one.
See, this is why. We wavelength. I mean,
Steph Curry I had as my number one loser.
It's Steph.
It's his last chance for relevance, and it's gone. I wrote down, it is the saddest older NBA superstar situation since 2011 Nash on the Suns and 2007 Garnett before he got traded to Boston. Of just guys now in purgatory who clearly have more to offer, and it's not going to happen. There's a couple of pieces to this. One is, why didn't they trade for Jaylen Brown? They weren't interested in him. They weren't interested. They were like, they didn't even counter. And the irony is, if they do that, I think LeBron goes there. Why are you so desperate just to waste the end of the Steph era? You already did this. You held on to Wiseman and Kuminga too long. Do they just think maybe Steph can't be the best guy on a championship team anymore? 22 can never happen again. So even stacking the deck, they have no chance against San Antonio and OKC.
Isn't he entitled to find out?
Well, he's never, the best thing about him is he's like Duncan. He's never going to bitch about this.
Right. Yeah.
He's just not. He's not going to be
we'll do it on his behalf. We'll bitch on his behalf.
I think it's outrageous. We saw it in the Olympics. Like, this is somebody who should have more relevant basketball moments, and it shouldn't be in a playing game. And I don't know what they're doing.
Okay, there's a lot to chew on there. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, he's annoying.
Oh, Bill Simmons.
He's annoying, yes. He's super annoying.
Why is he annoying?
He just annoys me.
Okay, some people
he's annoying.
They hit you a certain way.
So the Olympics was 2 years ago.
Yep.
Okay, and that was a 10-day competition. So we're going to compare that. 2 years ago, you played, 6 or 7 games to an 82-game season 2 years later and playoffs. Okay, Bill. No, Bill. That's not a comp, okay? That's not a comp at all. And, all the rest of it, like the whole Jaylen Brown conversation, I don't believe, and I'm pretty certain about this, that Boston was going to take back an injured Jimmy Butler, no matter how many picks you wanted to give him, and then they're just going to give you Jaylen Brown. No, they got Paul George, who you've mentioned before. I mean, he tends to be hurt sometimes, but he can play basketball on opening night. Jimmy can.
Okay, let's put it this way. I'm going to push back on his characterization that the Warriors weren't even interested. Maybe they weren't. I have no idea. I've seen tons of reports that are like, the Warriors didn't even engage on Jaylen Brown. And then I see reports where it's like, Warriors called, and Boston wasn't interested in Jimmy Butler. Maybe that's true. Would there be a way to get them interested in it? Of course. It was Paul George and 2 picks. Is that right?
That sounds right.
You're telling me that if the Warriors made it 4 picks, Boston would have been like, no, we want Paul George because he's going to play a full season instead of half. No way.
They probably would have asked for this year's pick, Yaxel Lendeborg, and at least 2 other picks, if not 3 picks, because I think that Boston wants people who can play basketball.
Yeah, maybe. And should the Warriors have done that? Should the Warriors have upped that offer? But, Bill Simmons sounds like he knows something. He referred to it as the Warriors didn't even counter. They didn't counter. Well, that means there was an offer. And the Warriors just hung up the phone and left. I wonder what the offer was.
Right. I wonder the same.
That does not mean that the Celtics were not interested in Jimmy Butler. That means the Warriors said, if you want to do that, here's how you get it done. And the Warriors weren't interested in doing that.
The Celtics got George and 2 firsts and 2 seconds.
Okay. And the seconds or whatever. So I'm going to call that, 2 firsts and Paul George.
Right.
All right. But Bill Simmons is insinuating there was an offer. There was an offer made to the Warriors.
Okay.
And they didn't counter.
Right. And if the offer was exactly, it's probably what they wound up taking from Philly, but the addition would be Yaxel Lendeborg.
Okay. And another one.
Yaxel, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and we'll take Jimmy Butler.
No. Yaxel and 3 firsts.
And 2 seconds. And Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it a comp to what they actually accepted. And, I mean, what would the counter be? The counter would be, we'll give you pods. We'll give you 2 picks in a pods.
No, this is very good.
Thank you.
No, it probably was about the picks.
Right.
Okay, you got to beat Philly's picks. So if they gave him 2 1s, you got to give him 3. Jimmy Butler and 3 1s. Forget the Axel part for a second. Would you have even done that?
No.
Jimmy Butler and 3 1s.
No. I think, would I have as Boston or would I have as Golden State?
Would you have as Golden State?
No, I would not have. Because you're going to get to a point here very soon. And, you know, as Joe Lacob famously said, we're not doing the lottery. Well, you are, and you just did. And you might on the regular here if Steph Curry is no longer Steph Curry. And if you are a lottery team, you're going to want those lottery picks. And so personally, I would not do that, especially when, you know, you still have Steph. And so you have Jaylen Brown, and he's going to be making Steph money, if not more. And it becomes kind of limiting.
Let's go to Morgan and Morgan Hill. Hi, Morgan. Thank you for calling. What's up?
Hi, guys. You know, there's just been, you know, so much pessimism around the Warriors today, you know, with Bill Simmons, and then driving in on my way to work on the morning roast, you know, callers super negative, calling for Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy's heads, which is all just makes me cringe. And you know, like, I have full faith in this front office that they're doing everything they can to explore these different options to maximize Steph's window without throwing away the future. But what I really wanted to say, though, is that I understand the disappointment around feeling like we didn't add anybody yet this offseason besides our draft picks. But I'm actually a little bit more optimistic than I sense from most and you guys, because one thing is Jimmy Butler and Kristaps Porzingis have never stepped foot on a court on the same team together yet. And so if you tell me that we have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Kristaps Porzingis, Jimmy Butler, and say whoever to fill out that 5th spot, I think that's an intriguing 5. And of course we have to, you know, health is always an issue. I'm assuming health. And also I think Jimmy Butler is good enough and high IQ enough and had enough excess athleticism to come back from this ACL with and still be effective. So I haven't heard anybody talking about how, to me, it still feels like a new starting 5 with Kristaps Porzingis and Jimmy Butler when he's healthy. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think, Morgan, when you say I'm assuming health, we can already to a degree assume lack of health, at least for half the season. You know what I mean? And then we know Rick Celebrini. We know what the Warriors do when somebody comes back. They don't play all the games for a while. I mean, if I'm going to over-under this with you, here, stew on this for a second. Over-under on Jimmy Butler games this year would be what? While you think about that, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco and Odyssey Sports Station, and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries, always live on the free Odyssey app, and coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. Basketball and Dubs coverage here on 95.7 The Game is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi. One price, 5 years, guaranteed. Xfinity, imagine that. What would you put? Over under Jimmy games?
What number does the chef wear?
30.
Yeah, I'd put it at 30. I put the over-under at 30 games. Huh. And I would have to juice the line to where the under, you'd have to pay a little extra to hit the under. He had surgery in early February, and he is 36. He's going to be 37, right?
Yep. That's usually what comes after 36.
Well,
That's right.
I didn't know if he'd be 37 after the year or when his birthday is. But
when his birthday?
I can look at it right now, but the greater point is that when you come back from an ACL, it's September's his birthday, so he'll be 37 before the year even tips.
Okay.
And when you are that old coming off of an ACL, you already mentioned the GOAT, Rick Celebrini, and how he rolls, which is conservative, rightfully so. If Jimmy comes back in 10 months, that would put him in December, and that I think is even an aggressive return to play. I think he won't play until right around the All-Star break, which is mid-February, which would leave you about 30 games left in the season. So you're not going to play all those.
Nope.
So I put it at 30, and the under is going to be minus 125. It's juiced to the under.